Well, hello, my name's Steve M. Let me ask you a question. Have you been stuck in an inkjet world most of your life? And are you tired of buying expensive inkjet cartridges? Well, if you've answered yes to those questions, then welcome to my world, because that's where I lived most of my life. I've had inkjet printers all my life at home, and it wasn't until recently when I finally made the decision to switch to a laserjet printer, in particular, a Canon laserjet. I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why I switched to that Canon laserjet. But I'm going to go over the reasons why a laserjet may be a better printer for you and may even be better cost effective for you if you're looking to switch. I'm going to explain the difference between the inkjet and the laser printer because you need to understand the technology. And I'm also going to explain one of the biggest reasons why people don't switch, and that's the upfront cost of a laserjet. And I've got some really good information, really good news for you on that front. So stay tuned for that. But let's begin with the technology. An inkjet printer is basically pure ink. It's pure ink in a little cartridge, and it sprays it from the nozzle onto the paper, and that's what an inkjet does. Now, the nice thing about inkjet is it's actual ink. It's beautiful for photos, it's beautiful for creative stuff because it's real ink. The problem with it is it's very expensive and it dries out. And that's the problem that I had, and this problem that probably you had. I would buy a new cartridge, and sometimes I may not use it for a couple weeks or maybe a month, and the cartridge starts drying out because it's real ink. So that's one of the problems with the inkjet. Now, the laserjet is completely different. The laserjet is not ink at all. The cartridges are powder, and the machine takes that powder, and using the heat in the machine, it generates heat. It basically uses heat to put that powder and convert it to print on the paper. So it's great for print, it's great for printing labels, it's great for business, it's great for documents, charts, graphs, all that kind of stuff. And the best thing about the laser, what I'm finding, because I've had this thing for 5 months now, what I'm finding about it is that because it's a powder, it doesn't dry out. So the fact that I may not use it heavy in a couple weeks versus the inkjet, I don't have to worry about it drying out. As long as you're keeping the laserjet in a place that's not a lot of moisture, that powder is staying cool and dry, and it's going to always be there to create more documents for you. So the first reason for my switch was simply the technology. I wanted something that would not dry out. And I can tell you, I've had the laserjet now for 5 months, and I'm still at 90% on the cartridges. And that's a wonderful thing, and I'm sure it's going to last all year long. Now, having said that and explained the differences, the cartridges on the laser are more expensive than the cartridges on the inkjet. They're about 2 to 3 times more expensive. However, the expected print that you'll get from each is vastly different. On the laserjet, I expect to get 1,000 to 1,200 pages per cartridge, where on the inkjet it says up to 200, but again, the problem with the inkjet is that ink begins to dry out, and I never reached anywhere near 200 pages on my inkjet printer. So the technology is something you want to look at. And again, as I'm going through these 5 things here, think about how you use your printer and how this may affect you, because I'm going to go over the cons of the laser in just a second here, but let's go over the 5. Let's start number 2. Okay, the second reason why I bought the laserjet printer is because of the cost savings. Now, you are going to pay more for cartridges when you buy a laserjet cartridge. They're about 2 to 3 times more expensive than the inkjet cartridges. But if you're looking long term a little bit, you're going to make that money back and more, because you're going to get more printing from the laserjet than you would the inkjet. So you got to look a little bit long term on these costs. But I can tell you that if you do, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And if you do any amount of printing, if you run a small business, if you print labels, I have a little small business. If you have to do any kind of printing like that where it's important to always have ink available, the laser is really going to give you a lot of confidence, and it's going to do a really good job for you. Now, even if you don't have a business, you may have a lot of children in your house that do things for their school, that have to print things, okay? The laserjet's going to save you money in that regard. So the way they get you when you buy the inkjet printer is the printer itself is very low cost. I was looking at inkjet printers, HP printers, for $59 during Christmas. They're literally giving these things away for $59, $79, $99, $100 and some, very low cost. The reason they're giving it away, they're really not giving it away, see? is because they're going to get you back on the ink side. That's where they're going to get you, as you got to go refill that ink all the time. You're always buying ink from them, and that's going to add up over time. So one of the big hindrances to getting the LaserJet has been the upfront cost, because they cost much more. Now, when I went initially looking for LaserJets, they were around $400. Now, here's the good news for you that I promise. The LaserJets have really come down in cost. This one that I'm looking at today and showing you today was $400 just a few months ago. Right now on Amazon, it's $299. It's a little over $300 in some other places. But that is a fantastic price for a LaserJet printer and what you get with LaserJets. And I'm going to cover some of the features of this printer. But when you're looking at costs, look a little long term. What's it going to cost me in 6 months to do this, to run this printer? What's it going to cost me in a year? Because those ink costs are going to add up, and they're going to really bite into you over time. So just to point out some features with this printer, it has a really nice 5-inch display, color display that you can operate the printer from. You can do the copy, the scan, the menu, device information. Most anything can be done here except the more complex setup, which is done with the remote UI, which I'll show you here in a minute. But I do most of the working of this printer from this display without a problem. It has a nice 50-page document feeder on it. I use this a lot for scanning. I love it. Before I had to put everything on the glass. It does a nice job of running it through there. I haven't had any problem with the jamming or anything like that. It's not duplex, that's the only downside to it. But whatever can't fit on there, you can put on the glass and do the old style. And that's how you do the duplex scanning with this. You have to use the glass, which is a little bummer. The printer also does 22 pages per minute, black and white printing and color, which is the fastest I've ever had. And I think it's much faster than most of the inkjets on the market. And I really like the duplex printing. That is a nice feature to have on a printer, and I use that quite a bit also to save paper and space, filing space. It has a multi-document feeder for paper that will not fit in the regular tray, such as labels, things like that. And it has a nice paper tray right in front here, and also comes with an extension for legal size paper. And I haven't had any problem with the paper jamming. Seems to work pretty well. The printer also comes with the Canon app, and from the app you can do most of the same things you can do by using the 5-inch display. So if you don't want to use the onboard display there, using the app you'll get many of the same functionality, document printing, scanning, copying, all that good stuff right at your fingertips there. And it also has Apple Print. So you can print documents right from your iPhone, right from your iPad, directly to the printer, as long as they're on the same network. Now, the third reason why I switched to a LaserJet printer is the professional grade services these things now give you. For years, I worked in a big organization that had the biggest, baddest copiers you could have, and they were loaded with features. And I was pleasantly surprised to see on this Canon jet that it is loaded with features. It has all the basic features you would think about, scanning and printing and emailing and all that good stuff, but it has a lot of other complex features where you can configure this thing any way you want. For example, it has a remote UI where you can log into it via your computer, and you can change every setting on the machine. Every setting is doable. It has little applications that you can change the menu settings. You can add things to the menu. You can take things off the menu. For example, I could put a button on the menu that when I scan these documents in and I press this button, it goes to a certain person or it goes to a certain folder. There's so much you can do with these. And it's amazing the technology they give you in this little printer, in this really low-cost printer. Another advanced feature that I really love that I used in the private sector is secured print. If you share the printer with other people, especially if you're in a small office, maybe some of the things you're printing you don't want them to see, secured print is very easy to implement on this printer. And what it does is you print to the printer, but it doesn't print until you go to the printer and you type in a little code, maybe a little 4-digit code, and then it'll print your documents. So if anybody else is at the printer, your documents are not going to sit there. They're going to be stored in the printer. When you go there, it's going to print them for you when you type in your code. So it has a lot of these advanced features that you would not normally find on a machine that only costs $300. The fourth reason why I switched to this Laserjet printer is just because it's complex, but it's simple. And that's what I really like in a machine or technology. I like something that has complexity, but it's simple in its operation. It's simple to throw something up on the duplexer and scan things in. It's simple to print from this. I print a lot of labels, really easy to print. The cartridges are right in front. You pull the lid down, you pull the cartridges out. Everything is right there in front. It's very simple, and it's in a small package. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It is a little heavy. It's about 39 pounds, so you need a nice surface to put it on. But I love the simplicity of it. I love how it's easy to operate. Anybody can operate this thing. You can keep it as simple as you want, or you can make it as complex as you want. It offers both of them to you in a nice, cool design and an easy-to-use system. And the last thing I really like about this Laserjet, and the reason why I switched, is because of the reliability of it. I looked up a lot of Laserjet printers before I bought this Canon. I was very pleased with the results of the people that have bought these Canon printers, these Laserjet printers. They're reliable. Not only are they reliable, not only do they get good reviews, but it has a 3-year warranty. Now that, you know, the Laserjet has more parts than the inkjet printer. The inkjet is a very basic printer compared to a Laserjet. So the Laserjet has more parts on it. So I like that 3-year warranty, because if anything goes wrong within 3 years, they're going to fix it. And that helped me make my decision. So a few final thoughts on your buying decision, whether it's a laser or a Laserjet or inkjet. One of the first things to think about is, are you tired of buying ink? That's what really broke me. For years and years, I lived in the inkjet world, and I went to print something. I needed to print some labels, and I had no ink. And I just got tired of buying the inkjet. If you're tired of buying the inkjet ink, and at the price that they're asking for it, then you need to make a change. So if you've arrived at that point, that frustration point, where you're like, I'm tired of this, then I think it's time to look at a Laserjet printer. Now, before you do that, consider the cost. That if you have to replace cartridges on the Laserjet, especially this particular printer has 4 cartridges. If you have to replace all 4 cartridges, it's going to sting you a little bit. They're much more expensive than the inkjet. But again, looking at it over time, you're going to spend less money, I believe, than you would with the inkjet printer. The other thing to ask yourself is, okay, if you're not in that scenario, do you print a lot? Now, I'm not a heavy printer. I'm really not. I'm basically a light to medium printer. So in that realm, I think it works out for me and it pays for me. But you got to consider how many people are in your family, how many people are using it, and how many inkjet cartridges you're going through. I think the technology on the Laserjet is really good. I like the fact that it doesn't dry out. So for me, it worked well, but you have to consider how much you're going to use it, because the bottom line is, if you're not printing at all, there's no need to get a Laserjet, because the inkjet will do you just fine. But because of the professional features, because of the small package now, because of the reduced pricing, because of the cost savings on ink if you are printing, I think the Laserjet makes a lot of sense to check out and take a look at. And so leave me your comments below if you have any comments, or if you have different experiences, inkjet versus Laserjet. I'd love to hear them. And please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you will. That helps us a lot. Produce the material that we produce and review the products that we look at. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.